thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. And also congratulations to OIS for your 10-year anniversary. So we're quite pleased in terms of what we've been able to accomplish this year with EyePoint Pharmaceuticals, formerly known as Cyvita. And good branding says it's a little hard to remember a name when the P is silent, so we changed the name to EyePoint Pharmaceuticals. But there was more than just that in terms of why we changed it. Forward-looking statements, of course, were publicly traded. So as we've transitioned this year into a commercial stage organization, we're quite pleased because we have 2 commercial drug launches that we're planning for in early 2019. We acquired Icon Biosciences with their Dexycu product. We also recapitalized the company with $80 million in capital infusion. I'll talk about that in a moment. We also will continue to expand our ophthalmology portfolio through a combination of organic and inorganic growth. We also are quite pleased about the approval of Yutiq, and we have a very strong leadership team now with an impressive group of seasoned executives. That's just a quick summary. This is a little more detail about what's happened over the last year. So I call March 28th the big bang for our company. We did a number of transactions, all had to come together at the same time. Specifically on the 28th, we acquired Icon, who had just received approval from Dexycu, for Dexycu, which is indicated for post-ocular inflammation. We also then closed on our $80 million in financing. $60 million came from Essex Woodlands, $20 million from SWK in debt. We also delisted from the Australia exchange. We'd been dual listed on both NASDAQ and Australia, and made the strategic decision. It was hamstringing us some from a capital raising standpoint on the Australia exchange, and then we changed the name of the company. So you can imagine the amount of work that happened going up to that date. So it was quite exciting for all of us and a lot of hard work that brought a lot to fruition. We then received our reimbursement code for Dexycu in September. And then also very importantly, Yutiq for posterior segment uveitis was approved by the FDA 3 weeks early this past October 12th. So thank you to the FDA for that as well, so that we can talk about Yutiq here at the American Association of Ophthalmology. And then, as I said, we're planning for both launches. Now, we've had a very remarkable updraft in our stock price. As you saw earlier, we're up almost 200% for the year. That last leg up was, unfortunately, the last leg up disappeared and brought us down to the 200% increase with this most recent market downdraft. But nevertheless, we still have a very nice year-over-year increase in capitalization. Looking at our pipeline, I've already talked about the fact we have 2 FDA-approved drugs now on the market that we're getting ready to launch. We do have a 6-month implantable Yutiq, which we expect to potentially file next year. And that would be complementary to our 3-year Yutiq. We also continue to work on our tyrosine kinase inhibitor, which is in preclinical. And then since we acquired Icon, we're working on other products to put into the Verisome technology. And we continue to have collaboration agreements that we work on with other companies with their new chemical entities using our Duracert technology, which is highly proven. All right, so Dexycu. Really a remarkable drug that we in-licensed or acquired through Icon. Post-cataract surgery inflammation. As you may know, cataract surgery is the #1 surgery performed in the US. Over 4.4 million claims were submitted last year in the US alone for cataract surgery. It's a gigantic market and is going to continue to grow. So what does Dexycu do? It uses the Verisome technology and allows you to have an extended release of dexamethasone. It's a 5 microliter intraocularly administered suspension that's placed right behind the iris at the very end of ocular surgery. It was studied only in cataract surgery, so that's the market we will be going after. And it is formulated in the fully bioerodible Verisome technology. Can we show the video, please? This just gives you a graphic
Following
representation.
preparation of Dexycu as per package insert, in a single motion, inject 0.005 milliliters of the drug material behind the iris in the inferior portion of the posterior chamber. Once administered, Dexycu forms a small sphere. The sphere formation is in an aqueous media which keeps the delivery system intact. Dexycu coalesces once injected into aqueous media. Verisome provides a controlled release of dexamethasone across the target area. Over time, the Verisome sphere degrades with the release of dexamethasone until the sphere is no longer visible.
Okay, thank you. That actually gives you a very nice representation. The actual sphere itself is highly aqueous, and it lasts for about 1 to 2 days, depending on the patient, and then the release of dexamethasone does continue out over about 22 days. Looking at the efficacy data, it's quite nice. What you basically see is that we have rapid reduction in inflammation, and by day 8, over 60% of patients have 0 anterior chamber cells, and that maintains itself over, actually this goes, we're showing you out to 30 days. We actually have data out till 90 days, but very, very nice inflammatory control. And we seem to be stuck. Next slide here, please. There we go. All right, so adverse events. The most common adverse event occurring in 5 to 15% of patients, no surprise it was a steroid. Because it is a steroid, is some modest increase in IOP. I'll show you more data on that. Corneal edema and iritis. Other side effects are very, very modest, and basically side effects that are not too dissimilar from what you would expect with steroids. This is a breakdown actually of our IOP data, and again, we're quite pleased with what these data show. Basically on day 1, you do get some elevation, not statistically different though from the placebo. And then as you go out in time, you see very, very modest increase in IOP. And actually by the time you get to day 8, you only have 1.9% of patients that are 29 millimeters in pressure or lower, and virtually no patients at 30 millimeters of pressure and higher. And that continues on through day 15. But again, very, very modest increase in IOP. So in summary, we're quite excited about the ability to launch this innovative product. It's the first and only FDA-approved single-dose, sustained-release intracameral steroid for the treatment of post-operative inflammation. And again, it uses our patented Verisome technology, modest side effects, primarily IOP elevation, and it does really help to put control in place in the physician's hands as they conduct this surgery. All right, moving on to Yutiq. It was approved, as I said, just this past couple of weeks ago, October 12th, and is for the treatment of chronic, non-infectious uveitis, a terrible disease, 3rd leading cause of blindness in the US. Not a lot of treatment options. Main treatment option is steroids. I'm going to quickly mention our Durasert technology, which is remarkable. EyePoint has developed 4 of the 5 FDA-approved implants posteriorly in the eye. And so we've really been able to develop a lot of really great technologies, almost all of which were out-licensed. Vitrasert first was formed or developed for CMV retinitis. Retisert for uveitis that remains on the market today, marketed by Bausch & Lomb. And then Iluvien, marketed by Alimera for diabetic macular edema. And now we're about ready to launch Yutiq. Again, all with our basic Durasert technology. Looking at the efficacy in this, the goal obviously with posterior segment uveitis is to reduce flares because it's inflammatory. And you can see here very, very significant reduction in flares. This is our 12-month data for both our studies. Again, p-values that were extremely high, less than 0.001, but we're quite pleased. And we will be presenting our breakthrough presentation at AAO on our 24-month data with Yutiq. Another interesting statistic, this was presented at ASRS, with Dr. Kwan presented this. This looks at the number of recurrences versus sham, and you can see actually it's quite remarkable. 62% of patients at 12 months remained recurrence-free on Yutiq, whereas only 2.4% on sham. It just gives you a sense for how often these patients flare, and every time they flare, they lose more of their eyesight. Again, let's take a look at side effects. The known side effects with steroid, yes, we do cause some modest elevation in IOP, but very modest. This is at 12 months data. You can see in our first study, 1.1 millimeter increase, and in our second study, 2 millimeters increase in pressure. So very modest at 12 months, and we will be showing the 24-month data coming up soon. And yes, we do cause cataracts, like all steroids, but cataracts are a side effects of Yutiq. And again, looking at other adverse events, again, the main, other than IOP and cataracts, is there is some hypotony of the eye, probably due to just the initial injection, which does resolve rather quickly. So in summary, Yutiq is the 3-year intravitreal implant for chronic posterior segment uveitis. We're quite excited to be able to bring this really innovative treatment to this terrible disease that's the 3rd leading cause of blindness. And in summary, we're quite excited about launching these 2 products. We're well positioned for commercial success. I couldn't be more pleased with the commercial team that we have on board, very experienced executives. And we've already hired our contract sales organization, which will manage our sales reps. A lot of our team is already in place, and you'll see we have a number of events going on here at AO as well. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.